4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another episode of the Ready, Set, Poem Podcast, your premier source for everything to do with the Vancouver Titans. I am Chris at Lightforce, the voice that you have come to love each and every week, joined virtually by Sam. I'm just here for the slices, another Sam Chan, and Omni at OmniStrife. Welcome, gentlemen.
What's up?
Hello, hello.
So, you're here for the slices, Sam. Can you explain to those who are tuning into the live stream and those that are possibly going to be listening to this episode after the fact through normal means, what slice is it that you're talking about?
So I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Especially for listeners. Pizza Hut hooked us up with a couple of pies, I think is the fancy term. Gave us some boneless wings and some brisk iced tea. I think we're contractually mandated to say brisk iced tea. No, I'm just kidding. There's no contract. But I'm super pumped because we're live on air right now and we get our first official mukbang.
So first and foremost, I have no idea what a mukbang is. But from what you've told me, Sam, it's something about eating live on stream?
That's all it is.
Okay.
I thought it had something to do with homework, or am I confusing that with something else?
Well, usually people that eat are more interesting than us, but at least we have interesting food today.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's, apropos, because we had that Twitter poll, because, here at RSP, we live life in a world of chaos. And I have to actually go back to Rachel from Mateo, because she had said, ask us anything. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, pineapple and pizza, yay or nay. And she's like, well, not for me, but I don't mind that people might eat it. And so then I'm like, I'm going to ask the greater force of nature nation here. And like significant pineapple choice. Like we're talking not even close. Like it blew my mind, because isn't that like normally one of the most chaotic choices, pineapple and pizza? I love it. We got ham and pineapple. You got ham and pineapple.
Yeah, me too. I wasn't surprised, frankly, because I knew that our community is filled with people of culture.
People of culture.
Let me tell you, to achieve truly great flavor, right? And it's not just about pizza with pineapple. I don't care if you're eating like a main dish, a starter, or a dessert. You can't have just salty or just sweet. For the truly great flavor, you got to add some salty or sweet dishes. You got to add some sweetness to your, savory one. So, and that Pizza Hut example was pretty good, pretty darn good, especially the one.
Yeah,
with the
like
pineapple.
I'd say of the three of us, I was probably the least cultured, and maybe growing up, I wasn't sold. I think what sold it for me was the first time I ever went to Hawaii. Like my parents brought me to Hawaii, and like Hawaii, and I mean, I guess that's why it's Hawaiian pizza, right? But like they put pineapple and spam on like everything, and they make it work, and like kind of really like opened my palate to like, you can have fruit in meals that aren't like a dessert or like an appetizer. Like you can have fruit in the main dish. Like that was like mind blowing to me. Yeah, so since then, like, I'd say the most adventurous I got with fruit and food is, like, I don't know if you're familiar with this. There's this little sandwich shop downtown called Finch's, and they have this pear baguette. They're not the only ones to do this, but
I've had something very similar.
Like, it was, like, I'm not, like, that adventurous. I'm not that guy. And so when my coworker was telling me to try it, like, I was almost afraid to ask them what's in it. So what's in it is, like, prosciutto, brie, so cheese, and then pear.
That sounds incredible.
And like three things that like, are fine on their own, but you'd never imagine them to just go so well together, like slap together with bread. So like that's probably as adventurous as I've gotten, but I don't know, like Alex looks like he's seen things. So
Well, I don't know. I feel like Korea and Japan and those countries, they have it all figured out. They're just like every dish is an explosion of flavor. And here it's like in the West, people are so scared. We should definitely start like a food podcast or something like that.
RSP does food.
I mean, we're pretty much there.
Yeah, true.
So
who's next in line?
Well, okay, well, okay. First and foremost, like last week, Circle K, they hooked us up with those sweet goodies. This week it was Pizza Hut, so I'm going to presume Jack Link's next week, right? We're going to be eating jerky.
Some sort of like dog treat.
No, it's like beef jerky, pepperoni, stuff like that. Have you not had Jack Links before? Granted, I had like a summer job working in like a gas station, like way back. So, but no, this is food podcast. We are going to be the premier source of food.
Yeah, hey, you got
the Vancouver Titans.
You got to eat. Even to talk about the Titans, you got to eat.
Mm-hmm. Need to get fueled up.
Speaking of being the premier source of the Vancouver Titans, we also had another Twitter poll asking, would there be room for another team for us to cover in the payload? So for those who follow our show, the payload is where we talk about the Titans. The fray is where we talk about everything else. We've been kicking around this idea. Maybe, we should look to expand and really grow the Overwatch League empire that is RSP. And I wasn't entirely sure, how people would feel. But again, a huge majority of people suggest that there's room. And so then we asked, well, who should it be? I mean, really, the only rule, I think, is that it would need to be of a team where their city has an iconic building. Except for the San Francisco Shock, because I'm sorry. I'm still bitter from last season.
They don't have a bridge or anything?
Well, that's the other problem, right? Like this, you look at our logo. Like if we put the Golden Gate Bridge across, would that work? I think it's like the Transamerica building. It's like the pyramid one that would be iconic. But again, it's just not San Francisco. So
he just doesn't want us to turn into like another Warriors thing.
But this is something that we're considering. So if you have a favorite team that's not the Vancouver Titans and you would like for us to become that premier source, by all means, let us know. And part of this evolution is based on the feedback that you, our listeners, and our community are giving us with our first ever podcast audience survey. Now, if you haven't taken part in the survey, the easiest way to find it is go to bit.ly/catchphrase survey. We've also pinned a link on Twitter at ReadySetPwn that will take you directly there. And it just lets us know a little bit about our podcast, your thoughts, where you want us to sort of, evolve to, and then anything else that you might want to tell us. I was actually going to do a simple survey, like a reply, retweet, or like tweet, and just for the podcast hosts. And I was going to put Sam as the reply, but then use that new Twitter option that prevents replies from going through, because I thought that would be real cool.
Don't give away all your best ideas.
Yeah. But no, I mean, this is a pretty exciting time. I mean, it's good for, I think, our community as we look to grow, but then also we respect that our community is what, makes us be. So just something to keep in mind. Again, the link to take that podcast audience survey, it's bit.ly, so bit.ly/catchphrase survey. So
technically, I mean, even if we are looking just at the Titans, we are already in a way covering our second team.
This is true. So maybe we're adding a third team now.
True.
We cover our second team every week.
Yeah, that could be another option. So what are we going to talk about this episode? We're going to cover the Vancouver Titans match against the Paris Eternal, who is, spoiler alert, won the summer showdown in really exciting fashion. So we'll talk a little bit about that. The sort of summer schedule has been released. Share a few of our thoughts, and we won't go too in depth because that's for an upcoming episode. The fray, we're going to go into the summer showdown whole hog, and anything else that we might be able to squeeze in, including sounds of Sam, Omni, and myself eating pizza, drinking brisk, and all that fun stuff. So let's get ourselves into the payload.
Moving the payload. Join me.
Now, going into the weekend, the three of us sort of gave the Vancouver Titans a chance. I don't recall any of us, except maybe Sam to some degree, suggesting the Titans actually had a chance to win. But when I look at the result, which was a 3-1 final for the Eternal, it wasn't like 3-1 where the Titans were never in it. Like the Titans, can if you think about it in the term of a reference that they lost to the eventual champions of the Summer Showdown, outside of the fusion, I actually thought the Titans, looked arguably even to the Eternal to some respect. So, I mean, again, I could be completely out of my gourd here, but they didn't look horrible.
Yeah, I mean, we did lose to the best team, so by default we qualify for that second
Second best
spot.
team.
Yeah, that's how that works.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I completely agree for the most part. I mean, a lot has been said throughout the season, especially now about their DPS talents, right, on XZ and Sparkle, and we definitely felt some of that. But especially on Oasis, that first map that we took, we basically outclutched them and outplayed them 2-0. So I'm already happy with that.
Mhm.
Just that it's not that we kind of lucked out and got that W right on that map, but it was actually pretty impressive. We were able to a big extent to basically neutralize Sparkle's Genji in a way. I think that not only the usual suspects of Dalton and Shockwave performed really well, but I feel that Karkar and Rolf were a huge factor that went into that win. They played really, really amazingly.
This is 2 straight weeks of positive car talk, and I'm here for it.
Oh, and for the next map for King's Row, we're already talking about. I just wish that XZ had Valorant installed on his machine, because that Vanguard would be flipping out from his Widow accuracy. It was nuts. Something was definitely off.
So just quickly back to Oasis. It was clean. Like, I actually even commented about that in our speak word. The Vancouver Titans had a clean map wid there. And I, looking back to the 3-0 against both Boston as well as the Fuel, the Titans didn't necessarily look really looked clean. They looked like they were in control, but they were still making mistakes. Oasis was probably the first time I could say, like, where was there a mistake? And if there was, they were almost like the old Titans were. A mistake didn't hurt them. They just rallied and were able to overcome that issue. King's Row, though, yeah, and loser picks map. And sure as heck, we see King's Row. And I would not argue that the Vancouver Titans looked horrible. It's just that when it came time for them to finally sort of clutch up and hold Paris, they did. And then their initial attack was okay, but they stalled. And I think, was it in King's Row that they were running like double sniper at one point before embracing Genji? Or am I thinking...
the King's Row,
Hanamura.
Well, no, it was
Gibraltar. It was a point on attack that they ran the Genji and Widow. The Hanzo and Widow. But I feel the problem was more sticking to the Mei for way too long on that defense. I feel like when they did switch,
and Shockwave on Mei.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know why they chose. Maybe it worked in scrims. Maybe they did have a strat, but it definitely did not work with all those. I think he got like 3 picks in a row. XZ did, and this kind of like collapsed. And there was a big, really a snowball going down.
I think Shockwave got stuck kind of in no man's land a little bit. Like I think he was at like 92, 93 alt charge when it was kind of like decided like, oh, he should switch off the Mei, and then he got an alt. Did use the alt and didn't die for like another like 60-70%.
Yeah. So that Mei alt though, Shockwave got it defending 0.3. So that's how long it took for that his alt charge to actually get there. And then you're right, suddenly he started getting value as Mei. But the Titans held Paris. Like, Paris did not get that 3rd point cap. So technically speaking, there was a winning condition in King's Row. The Titans' attack phase, again, capturing the point, not too much trouble, but then they just ran into the wall that was the Eternal, and Sparkle and XZ just clicked heads and slashed their way through, and the Titans just didn't have a response. But King's Row taking a loss there. Okay, that's not problematic. But
still a pretty even match.
Yeah, but where I'm confused is why they chose Volskaya, because I have not yet seen this roster have any success on Volskaya. I had in our speak court, I had suggested play Hanamura, and it's like, well, why Hanamura? I'm like, well, I just feel that the Titans they know Hanamura to where they can actually attack. Maybe the defend will be hard, but Volskaya just gives them fits, and sure enough. The Titans had solid time and then suddenly didn't. Like they just couldn't get anything to work. Heck, they don't check their corners. And so like Sparkle's up there crouching as Genji, you know, emoting. Well, he wasn't emoting, but could have. And next thing you know, that's a whip. Like
I think some of the strategy was like, and my Genji is below bronze level, so who knows what I'm talking about. But Volskaya is supposed to be one of the harder maps for Genji, I suppose, for anyone not named Sparkle or Haxel, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
When you mentioned the fact of checking the corners, I was very close to having like a second Valorant joke, but I won't do that. Anyways, do you remember last week when the last time we spoke about Volskaya? Why did we bring it up? Because last time we were playing Volskaya, the same thing happened. We catch A so quickly, and that attack Torb strat was pretty nice. I like that. Very, very assertive, very proactive. But unfortunately, Titans aren't as sharp when they got too much time. So there's a term that you could say, like in the NBA, when that happens, you can actually be too open to make that three.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I felt mentally sabotaged them, because
it's a couple of times now, right? Like Hanamura went B last week with Atlanta,
and
I think, right?
twice now.
Yeah.
The struggle, though, I mean, and just in chat here, you know, Siren Song's talking about Hanamura being a way more friendly Genji map. I agree, but at some point in time, you sort of have to accept what you're good at and balance it with what the opposition might be able to counter with.
And the point in time is map 4.
Yeah, which this one confuses me.
Gibraltar. It didn't confuse me at all.
Gibraltar,
I think
really? I would have preferred
we got
to
the classic. No, we got the classic. We are down by 2, so why even play Vancouver special? Happens every time.
Okay, yeah, because like you think about Gibraltar, the first point that is Genji friendly as possible. Like,
oh yeah,
and not only that, you're forcing yourself to go through an early choke, and you know. The Vancouver Titans just couldn't put anything together. We did see Shockwave and XE sort of start trading, but the difficulty there is that just allowed Sparkle to go around with Wild Abandon. I mean, think about like how we've talked about the success of the Titans since Shockwave arrived. Shockwave's arrival freed up Dalton. So essentially, what was occurring well for the Vancouver Titans in the past was ultimately what the Paris Eternal were able to execute on. And unfortunately, once that one pick was made where the Titans were down a player, the Eternal then just went pedal to the metal, clean them, and then start over. Gibraltar was like almost demoralizing.
So how much do you buy into Bren's kind of make-up belief? Well, he was trying to cover for airtime a little bit, I felt like, but this concept that they were trying to shut down Xe instead of Sparkle with the Gibraltar pick.
Okay, if that's the case, so if that's truly the case, fine, but you didn't shut him down.
No.
Right? There was, if anything, it was almost a wash. And the reason, so I mean, someone might say, well, Chris, if they go with Junkertown, Xe is just going to set up shop and there's sniper lanes galore. And that's completely true. But what are the Titans going to go and roll out? That's where you roll out your double sniper. Right? You essentially give yourself this opportunity. And with the freedom that exists on that map, you know, I still feel the Titans can move forward. Like, there isn't as punishing of a choke in the early part of Junkertown as there is in Gibraltar. So maybe that's true. Maybe they were trying to shut down Xe, but I mean, I feel that with that pick, they must have seen something or understood something going into that, thinking that they had an advantage. But Titans have not, at least this roster, have not looked good on Gibraltar.
Yeah, and they have looked good in spurts on Junkertown with the double sniper. And ironically enough, like Paris struggled for a tad. I remember there's one odd match. I think they were playing the Valiant where they threw the Junkertown map, if I'm not mistaken. It's all kind of blurry now. I feel like I've watched way too much Paris this weekend. But like there was an opportunity there. But I think I kind of want to draw the attention back a little bit. I'd say overall, despite the 3-1 loss, I think that the Titans actually played the Genji meta, like countered the Genji meta pretty well as a team. I being kind, I'd say above average, but I actually think they're pretty good. Their preparation against Genji was pretty good because we saw what Sparkle was doing to some of the other what you would consider better teams.
Yeah.
And it was clear, like, you know, maybe mechanically or collectively as a team, there's enough talent there to shut down someone who's that hot. But I felt like the Titans did a very good job, and it was more so it's like, okay, we kind of, I wouldn't say shut down Sparkle, but we calmed him down a little bit, and then it was actually just clicking on everybody's head.
Yeah, he was mostly doing cleanup duty after like Exi did most of the damage, not what he normally does. Like, basically killing everyone on the opposing team.
Yeah, so I actually came away pretty impressed because it showed kind of like they knew the Genji meta was coming. They knew, you know, Dalton actually did, I'd say, admirable. Would be my take. Like, I'd say he's an average Genji. So like since I only know him from mostly his tracer play, like I was a little bit impressed. Just like, hey, he's all right. Like, we can do this if need be. So like I came away pretty impressed from that part. So all in all, like, to me, it was extremely encouraging.
His Hanzo wasn't bad too. Yeah.
His Hanzo's great, right? So like we knew that was there, but you know, the current meta the way it is, and I'm not going to complain about a Genji meta ever. So you know, I see people saying like, oh, they're already bored of the Genji meta. Like, what are you, bored of excitement? Like, come on.
People will always
no
be
fun
bored
allowed
of a meta. Like, people want, like, it's funny is people don't want chaos, but they hate the meta. So like there's no in between. We're going to get into it a little bit in the frame when we talk about the rest of the Summer Showdown. But the San Francisco Shock, you know, under the tutelage of Krusty, seemed to think that there was a tracer component to the Genji meta. Now, San Francisco did not succeed. But if San Francisco believes there's an opportunity, the Vancouver Titans themselves were onto something. And again, Oasis, clean. Kings Row, Titans made some mistakes. Volskaya, as we already heard, too open to take the 3. And I don't know about Gibraltar. But functionally, if the Vancouver Titans had, let's say, taken Volskaya, let's say they get the win there, things are significantly different. And that ultimately sets up, because I don't think that if let's say the Titans win Volskaya, Paris is not going to lose map 4, right? They're probably choosing Gibraltar, if anything. And I think the control, you know, sort of tiebreaker is where the Vancouver Titans would have had success. Now, would the Vancouver Titans have then won a semifinal?
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Against the San Francisco Shock?
Toronto did.
Not against the San Francisco Shock. Toronto won.
Who knows?
Toronto won a quarter. Toronto did not win a semi, and we'll get into.
All I know is we were sitting here saying there's no upsets this round, and everybody was upset except maybe the Toronto guys.
True. Well, before we get into upsets, let's talk a little bit about the Titans moving forward. So, having lost that, they obviously didn't proceed any further in the Summer Showdown. Their weekend was over, and the Overwatch League itself is now on essentially 1 weekend break. When play resumes, we are going to see essentially another sort of qualifier into a tournament, and then some more qualifiers, and then some form of final tournament thing. I don't know. But the Overwatch League is introducing Friday matches again for those teams in North America. Now, that's not unusual. We've talked a little bit about how we've missed midweek matches. What I don't quite understand is they've introduced Friday matches that kick off at noon and 2 p.m. Pacific. And the Vancouver Titans, because they are so far in matches played compared to many other teams, they play 3 of those 5 Friday matches, and their 3 matches kick off at noon Pacific. If you're a Vancouver Titans fan who works a Monday to Friday 9 to 5 type of job, I guess we know what you're going to be doing during lunch. It doesn't make sense to me. I understand that, the league probably is trying to pan to maybe an Eastern audience, not be too late. I totally get that. But 12 and 2 Pacific seems odd. And I know it's just the way it's going to be, but...
Well, here's the simplest solution, and I think you got half of it. It's actually perfect, because here's what you do. You at 11:35, what you want to do is you want to call up Pizza Hut. You ask for the lunch special. You throw some extra pineapples on it. Throw the extra $1. Don't forget to tip your driver. It's COVID. It's tough times. And then at 12 o'clock, you open it up. You tell your boss and everybody else. You tell your wife or your husband, whatever, that it's lunchtime. I'm going to watch the Titans match. The Titans are going to do us a solid in 3-0, and you'll be back in time for the 1 o'clock meeting.
Hadn't thought it that way. See, this is why we pay you so much as the brains
Exactly.
of this podcast here, Sam. But yes, the Titans do play quite a few matches. The next match is not this Friday, the following Friday, against the Paris Eternal. So you could call it a rematch, so to speak. And just to let you in on a little something, we're trying to work with Nerf This Cast, which is actually a French podcast that covers the Paris Eternal. And we're hoping to connect with them before next week so we can give you a preview. And I thought, why not let them have an opportunity to also gloat about the success of their team.
Nerf Sparkle, please.
Yeah, we got to preview this amazing rematch between the best team and the second best
Titans,
team.
right?
Yeah, that's right. The best team and the team that lost to the best team, right? So,
Correct.
Yeah.
no other way to look at it. You know what? I'm going to use this as a good segue, since we're talking about the Eternal, to get ourselves into the fray.
Back into the fray.
Oh, talk about being upset. That's all that happened this weekend. Thinking back to last week's episode when we were actually, wondering, might there be an upset? And I think we sort of had one, I want to say, and maybe Omni, you might have had two, but we struggled.
Well, Omni had I don't know if it's an upset, but Omni had his omniscient pick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was trying to work it in my head.
They have my back.
Yeah.
So, ultimately, if you were watching the Summer Showdown last weekend, technically only one team, one favorite won on Friday, and that was the Paris Eternal. They're the only favorite. The Paris Eternal beat the Dallas Fuel 3-1. The Houston Outlaws beat the Florida Mayhem 3-1. The Toronto Defiant beat the LA Valiant 3-1. And the Washington Justice of all teams beat the LA Gladiators 3-1. Now, the Friday matches were kind of funny because you had the LA Valiant pick first. And Packing 10's like, we're taking Toronto because we just don't think they're good. And then Toronto came out, slapped the Valiant upside down. And afterwards, you got Packing 10 saying, yeah, there's some issues. Yeah, we, had to play some guys that, maybe we didn't think we would. And, but the heart of our team is what's most important, mental.
What's distracting Packing 10? It's Valorant.
Well, yeah, he's the GM of everything, right?
That's distracting, dude. Hire some more people, man.
But the Justice beat the Gladiators. And I'm sorry to call the Gladiators the Gladiators.
Can you really count that as an upset? I think it's an upset if they do get a win.
So, okay, well, look at it. For the Toronto Defiant, again, this meta played into the hands of a number of teams. They had agilities who just went to town. And then on top of that, you've got, essentially, this is DPS all weekend. The combination of agilities and logics was next level. Numlock looked solid in that match. There was Kariv looks good just every day of the week.
Kariv. Yeah.
Right? So, the Defiant were fortunate. I'm not trying to take away from the team, but they had the parts that they needed to produce. The Houston Outlaws, same sort of position. The Justice had Tuba, which you look at the Justice, and it's okay. What do we need to do? Let's go and let's watch out for the Nano Blade. And what did the LA Gladiators do? Oh my God, they did a Nano Blade again. Who would have thought that?
Yeah, who would have thunk?
Right? I mean, heck, Stitch was looking solid. Janu was doing well. I mean, that match against the Gladiators, the Justice were a whole tier above them. Wasn't even close. And the Outlaws Mayhem, I think this one, the Mayhem were overconfident, and the Outlaws were coming in with a little chip on their shoulder, something to prove.
Yeah. The Mayhem beat Boston Uprising way too many times to just consider themselves in the top echelon of OWL.
That one was really disappointing, though. That was just a
yeah.
bad game. Like, it wasn't fun to watch. It was like sloppy and people capitalizing off mistakes, and
they look underprepared.
Yeah, it was weird because like for the last month I've been pretty hype about the Mayhem, and that was back to mayhem.
Mm-hmm. The weekend, however, is where things got a little more consistent, but also a little more interesting. So let's actually go and talk about the Asia region. So yeah, the Shanghai Dragons get themselves sort of the bye into what that would have been the semi-final, I guess, off the top of my head. You had the Seoul Dynasty taking on London, and I mean Seoul looked good. Like, it was 3-1. I only watched highlights. Let's be honest.
London are a decent team, so it's not a bad win.
No, but like I felt London almost underperformed. Not to take away again from Seoul. Seoul looked good, but London, I think we're now starting to see. I don't know if it's necessarily the region sort of flatten a little bit, or maybe it's London, maybe not as good as people thought they might be. Guangzhou Charge beat the Chengdu Hunters 3-0. Surprise, surprise. New York Excelsior beat the Hangzhou Spark 3-0. I mean, that functionally was
a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, well, sure, but I mean, I don't think anything there went, unexpectedly. Like, yeah, Dynasty beating the Spitfire was an upset, but that's a 4 or 5 seed, so it's pretty close.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Jumping back into NA on the Saturday, so we had the Titans and the Paris Eternal kick off, as we already know. Paris Eternal beat the Vancouver Titans 3-1. Then we had the Toronto Defiant versus the Atlanta Reign. This was a good match. Like, if you happen to go and turn off the stream and decide to take off, you missed out on, like, this was back and forth.
Yeah.
And this match is where I actually started wondering if Toronto has finally figured things out.
Like, so benching Surefour is figuring it out.
I don't think it's a benching Surefour. Like, let's be real. It's Genji
playing agilities
and agilities, right? That's the meta there.
No, yeah, I'm just like making the clickbait title.
But
Titans podcast says benching Surefour to get wins
because Atlanta put up a hell of a fight. Like, this was going back and forth. Baby Bay, who's getting into it. It was great. Defiant get that win, and suddenly, like, of all of the teams that were playing on the Saturday, this is the team that I felt had the most momentum. Because the subsequent 2 matches, the San Francisco Shock beat the Washington Justice 3-0, and the Philadelphia Fusion beat the Houston Outlaws 3-0. Like, those two were just like, that was going to happen. Like, there was no rhyme nor reason as to why the Justice or Outlaws had a chance. Like, when we actually were watching the picks being made on Friday night, Ark was like, "Oh my God, why are you picking up?" Like, I mean, he knew the Shock were going to be picked by, or the Shock would pick the Justice, but like Ark already knew. It's like, oh well, we're done. And if it wasn't for the fact that someone, or there was a bushfire or whatever, that had like a long pause because San Francisco's team house lost their internet, it might have been even quicker. But back to the Defiant Reign. Defiant now have momentum. And like, watching how they were now going to match up against the Fusion, I genuinely thought Toronto had a chance here.
That was your mistake.
Yeah. So
but I mean just to step on it for a quick second, like, the Defiant beating the Reign is like a big deal to them. Like, we've talked about it on the show before, how like they always lose in scrims. Reign seem to be these like annoying parrots that are always barking at them. Yeah. Parrots don't bark, I guess. But like it's a weird rivalry where I think Defiant think the Reign are rivals and the Reign don't think much of them. Mm-hmm. And like, I think even from me making fun of them, like, you could understand that it felt good to get that 3-2.
Well, The other thing, actually, I just want to point out, we normally would get into it a little bit later, but it's still not entirely clear. Baby Bay tweeted out that this was probably his last tournament. He didn't say last match. He said last tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a guy who's hanging things up to go to Valorant, you think?
Might be. There was some speculation before, and it kind of died down because he kept on playing, but definitely looks.
Yeah, and then the first message on Twitter is from Corey saying hit him up.
Yeah. He can. Yeah, isn't Zach with Corey too? Aren't they both together?
I think Zach's still trying to find a team. Like he's been scrimming with them, but I don't know.
I want to say
he played in a tournament with them, but Corey just signed with FaZe, and Zach. I don't know. I don't follow Valorant on a daily basis, despite popular belief. But from my memory, Zach's just playing with Corey and not officially signed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Well, but yeah, Baby Blay, he'll be fine wherever he goes.
The Saturday matches, though, are done. Toronto is the upset. The others, and I'm not going to say that the Paris Eternal win over the Titans is an upset. The people are like, oh my God, it's another upset. Let's be honest. The Vancouver Titans got the 4th seed. Didn't necessarily mean they were the 4th seed. I was watching someone do some, updated power rankings, and they're like, oh, based on the Vancouver Titans' performance, they're now like a top 10 team in the Overwatch League. No. I mean, they're trending in the right direction, but they're beating Boston, beating DeKayla's Dallas when Dallas seemed to be having issues. Good wins, good solid wins, but you still need to show that you can play against the powerhouse like Paris and take those punches and come out of the fight still standing. Mm-hmm. So that gets us through to Sunday when all the marbles are now on the table. So the Shanghai Dragons take on the Seoul Dynasty, and that was a quick match, 3-0 Dragons. And, we talked about this being like the Dragons tournament to lose last week. Omni seemed to think that was possible. And the team that Omni suggested could beat the Shanghai Dragons was the Guangzhou Charge, who then beat the New York Excelsior 3-0. I don't understand what happened in this match. Guangzhou was good, but New York looked bad.
New York put on those playoff pants back on.
I think Guangzhou wins this regardless, but oh my God, this was like I don't know if the Overwatch League script writers decided just make them look bad.
It just must be so frustrating to be an NYXL fan. Like I'm legitimately thinking, I don't know how long we're going to do this here for. Could be 5 years, 10 years, 15, who knows? Will NYXL ever win anything in our tenure?
I don't know.
Anything meaningful? I don't mean a tournament win. I mean something big, right? It's just, I don't get it.
But this set up the final between the Shanghai Dragons, who Sam and I both had as favorites, the Guangzhou Charge, who Omni said had a chance. And this one almost went down as another. Well, I mean, if it had actually gone the way it started to trend, people would have lost their mind because that would have been nuts. But the Guangzhou Charge went up 3-0. And if you recall back to the May Melee, the Shanghai Dragons also fell down 3-0 before deciding, okay, let's play now and win, and proceeded to win the next 4 maps. So, map 4, Watchpoint Gibraltar, Shanghai wins. Not to just win, they win convincingly.
Yeah.
Then,
just don't get reverse swept.
Right? Then Busan, Shanghai wins again, and people are like, oh my God, they're doing it. And then they get to Blizzard World, stall. Guangzhou settled down. Shanghai seemed to lose the energy, the momentum, whatever it was that they had going for them. But what does that mean? The Guangzhou Charge are the Asian region Summer Showdown champions. And Mr. Omniscient himself called it.
Yeah, I feel like if it was still the previous meta, then Shanghai had the advantage. I feel like in this Genji-dominated times, Guangzhou is a bit more, efficient. Mm-hmm. And obviously, I knew that going into this weekend, and my prediction was grounded in a lot of
science,
research, and crunching, advanced statistics and such.
Yeah,
you and leg day, man, modern day geniuses.
True.
Science. This is a meta thing. Or is this just like, because think about it, like, let's go back last year. The Shanghai Dragons got themselves a win because of the meta, and then suddenly that was it. And I'm not to suggest the Genshi meta is going away, but the Brig ability to toss cookies is definitely gone.
The teams are pretty close. They're definitely setting themselves apart from the other teams in the Asian region for sure.
Charge Dragons?
Mm-hmm.
Is there
not Charge. Yeah, Charge Dragons.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, is there anyone else that's there though?
Is there room for NYXL? No, I don't want to talk about them.
There was room. There was. They didn't want it.
They didn't want it.
So going over to North America, this This Sunday was crazy. So first and foremost, you had I'm in the Toronto Defiant Discord, and people like, why are we a late match all the time? Because they're supposed to be the second of the 3 matches. And then suddenly the Overwatch League shoots out a notice at like 11:15 Pacific that says, oh yeah, due to some technical issues or something like that, Watch Point's going to actually start a half an hour later. And the first match of the day is not going to be the San Francisco Shock Paris Eternal, but instead it'll be the Toronto Defiant Philadelphia Fusion. So people are like, oh my God, what's going on? What's going on? I don't know if it ever clearly came out, but there was a hot rumor that like Super got DDoSed or something like that. I don't.
Super wanted to play Genji. That's what it was. He was trying to hold everything in mutiny.
Well, actually, Krusty had a stream and that came up, and apparently, Super was showing him clips and everything.
Or maybe Violet was watching YouTube videos during the match and then crashed their internet.
Maybe.
That whole stream and the translation by Gatumchun, I don't know how to say her name. That was amazing. You guys got to go read that.
Yeah. But Toronto Defiant got the earlier match, and this is cool. They're going to take on the Philadelphia Fusion. As I just said, I thought they had momentum. I'm watching this match, and it's like, oh, like how like underdogs somehow get that win, and then they sort of celebrate prematurely, like, oh my God, we got to where we didn't think we could be. That's sort of how this felt. Like,
but then EQO said EQ no.
Yeah, well, we'll get into EQO a little bit later, but yeah, you're right. EQO is just like, see ya. But yeah, Toronto Defiant Thrill, like, this wasn't even a fight. And I got a soft spot for the Defiant, right? This did not look good.
I don't know. I feel like in our brief interaction with Defiant followers, like, they know, like, whenever they feels like they're supposed to be feeling happy about something, they're always prepared for potential heartbreak. Like I'm not even making fun of them. I'm more sympathizing with them at this point. Yeah, like, it's just like they don't want to let themselves get too high. They're not like, raw, we won, we beat the Rain, our arch nemesis. They're like, what are they going to do now?
And I should qualify what I'm saying. Toronto put up a fight in the first 2 maps, like they truly did. But you could tell it was like the Fusion were sort of playing with their food. Like, at any point in time, the Fusion could simply, we're going to win.
Yeah.
And
our Chipsa Paris was much closer.
Yeah, well, no, if we had seen Chipsa, a whole different story. But yeah, on Anubis, it was like, that was it. So, unfortunately for the Toronto Defiant, their journey ended. So that set up the possibility of a Fusion Shock final, which is what the 3 of us predicted. Unfortunately, the Paris Eternal had a different thought, and they proceeded to beat the San Francisco Shock 3-2 in a back-and-forth match. Now, in the payload, we were talking about how the Titans used Tracer as the counter to the Genji meta, and the San Francisco Shock ultimately tried to do the same thing. Did it succeed? No, but I think the San Francisco Shock showed that, a high caliber team and high quality gameplay would allow for that to occur, but it requires a number of different things to all happen and all go right. And that's where I think the difference for the Shock was on the execution. The same thing that actually punished the Vancouver Titans prior to Gibraltar.
Yeah.
The Rialto map, though, I mean, that sucker was never going to end. Like that, Paris won 6-5 eventually, but if San Fran wins that map, it's done. Like that's where Paris, I think, finally showed that they had the potential to take. And in Oasis, they win, and I don't know if you saw the French casters, but my goodness, they like
Had a good time.
Oh, yeah. But Paris then goes on to face the Philadelphia Fusion. Many people said the Shock Eternal match was the final, and it was unfortunate they wound up in the same bracket. But the Eternal Fusion match, like, I had a hot take. It lit RSP Court on fire. I said that this was actually a superior match to the Vancouver Titans San Francisco Shock Stage 1 final. And my analogy was that the San Francisco Shock Vancouver Titans were two heavyweight teams slugging out. They were like Rocky Balboa versus Rocky Balboa. Whereas the Paris Eternal Fusion, this was more of an Apollo Creed. This was a classic match in a way that you had two, not heavy hitters, but two, welterweight, lightweight combatants just going back and forth. Like EQO tried to single-handedly team kill to keep a match going. Like that's not like the Titans dropping and suddenly they go wild, or the Shock, get a pick and they go push. No, this is like EQO saying, no, Rialto, we're not done here. Let's keep going.
That was nuts.
Right? And we saw that. That's one instance. And if you haven't seen it, there's like a still frame of EQO and Sparkle, sort of Genji versus Genji. EQO wins the fight. This is part of his sort of team kill experience. But I was blown away by what I saw there.
Yeah, that guy single-handedly killed Shadowburn's career, who was considered at the time to be one of the best Genjis in the world ever.
Yeah.
He's
Shadowburn and most of Paris Eternal in one shot.
Yeah, I agree. It was one of the best matches we have seen in the league for sure. But while the game really did have, its fair share of great moments, sick plays, carries, and it went down the wire, I feel like you can't really compare it to the Titans game because of one reason. You didn't really have the story, right, coming into that match.
Okay.
Kind of like you don't have the storyline behind. And don't get me wrong, I like if these maybe were the grand finals, or maybe if they get to play each other one more time and there's this history between the teams now, maybe that will be even more epic than what we saw. And I'd take like Carpe and EQO versus XZ and Sparkle instead of like who rotates Zarya bubbles better between the Titans and the Shock.
Mm-hmm.
But there was so much bad blood going on between the two teams at that point, where I feel like that what kind of solidifies the game as a classic.
That's the funny thing, because like we've been making fun all season that Paris and Philly have played like a billion times.
Yeah, but maybe that's what kind of brought it down a notch, and it's still an amazing game. Like I was hyped in throughout the entire thing, but also we're kind of like biased Vancouver podcast anyways, so there's also
and I think I could make an argument that perhaps single greatest play, that EQO on I guess Rialto
first point, like
I guess ultimately it didn't mean much, but just like the fact that we were all packing our bags and like moving the popcorn and going like, okay, cool, like time to move on, and then he just, I don't even know exactly what he did. He just killed everybody. It's like he had like typed in power overwhelming and everybody died.
Well, and that's the thing. Like he doesn't do that. That's game over at that point. Like that wasn't like it was clutch, but clutch at a level that I can't say I remember. I can't remember a moment like that where one player single-handedly did what they did. And you also have to consider
maybe Prophet in grand finals in Volskaya when he got like 5 on the Tracer.
Don't remember.
Yeah, I guess. But
Come on, man.
But that wasn't like this was, I believe I've heard it was overtime. Like he had to stay on the payload. He had to continue to contest. He still had to engage. His team's coming from the long spawn.
Yeah.
Like
the odds were against him for sure.
EQO decided I'm not ready to lose. Unfortunately, the Fusion were going on the wrong direction, and Paris wins. That's not a knock against Paris, but again, I was genuinely excited, and I can't say that I get genuinely excited watching Overwatch League teams not name the Vancouver Titans. I wave a Canadian flag. I'm real happy about. So for the Defiant, But this was a good match. It's a showcase match. It's the type of thing where, man, if they had an opportunity to have had that, let's say on like television or something like that, like they sort of had last year, there's an opportunity to be had.
Yeah.
I do feel bad for Fielder, though. He's on like 800 paying internet and can't celebrate with his team. So the entire Eternal team in their team house, they're celebrating. There's Fielder.
And he's like in front of his screen. But he still got the win. I'm sure it was maybe.
When
just
are you gonna get that guy over?
Introverted celebration. What was that?
When are they gonna get that guy over there?
Well, in the United States, getting into the U.S., we used to say it was easy. Now it's harder.
Right. So I would 1,000%, be right behind you there. But reality showed us that after Fielder was signed, our good friend Stitch moved to the States.
Yeah.
Our good friend Janu moved to the States.
But
what gives?
Well, no, but like that should have happened. Like now, for those that don't know, the United States have adjusted their visa application rules, and the ability to get a entry visa now requires you to already have the ability to enter. Like essentially, like Canadians can get in because we don't require a visa to get in. Our passport is enough. But if you come from a country where the passport isn't enough, now you can't get a visa. It's like real convoluted. So I think
Fair enough.
Opportunity passed to have Fielder join them. But
so it's because Fielder's a rook.
Or maybe they just looked at the Vancouver Titans and say, hey, there is something to this ping meta.
Okay. I can't wait until Shockwave and KSA are on LAN.
Oh, the league is doomed.
Like the fact that KSA can do the things he does on ping are nuts. But then to see Shockwave like on ping as a widow, which
shouldn't be done.
No.
Well, that's what's going to be more impressive than winning a melee with one person on ping is two people on ping, right? We're up next.
True. So there you go. That further reinforces the Vancouver Titans second place. So there you have it. Paris Eternal won the Summer Showdown on the NA region. The Guangzhou Charge won the Summer Showdown on the Asia region. And not this weekend. The following week is when play resumes. So we'll get into that into our next episode. Not a whole lot has been happening in the world of Overwatch since new season of competitive. There's this belief that I need to create a Smurf account to essentially be a Junkrat one trick.
Junk Force.
Yeah, Junk Force. I was trying to think, like, what would I have to call myself if I was to do that? And, but then I also have to buy another account to Smurf. And don't want to spend money on 2 copies of Overwatch and have to log in and out of Battle.net to...
Can't afford it with both of us.
That's true. You guys are just too darn expensive.
I mean, you can use my account as a Smurf, I guess.
Start a GoFundMe.
Yeah. Oh, no, but that's against the rules. That's like boosting or whatever.
Hole there, though.
So...
Wouldn't that be considered boosting?
Yeah, if I log in as Sam's account, yeah, it's boosting. I'd be thrown in jail, I think, in Korea, right? Like it's that illegal there. But yeah, no, I mean, guess we're gonna play some Overwatch. I hate Brig. I mean, I wasn't a big Brig player, but I actually don't know where Brig contributes now that the armor packs don't give armor. They're health packs.
It's very confusing.
Oops.
Yeah, that's it. Like it's anyhow. The current. I'm so going back to actually Krusty's stream. One of the things that he said is he really wishes that the Activision Blizzard introduced a new hero as opposed to continually trying to break the ones that are in the game, to adapt the meta and what have you. I'm not saying Brig was functional before. Like Brig probably needs a rework, but. If you're a good Brig player right now with the new Brig that's in the game, all the power to you. I've yet to actually have one on my team. But yeah.
But to go full circle with that, that's very scary for the Vancouver Titans.
What? That
because
Brig is...
Car has looked incredible, especially compared to his other hero, selection on the Brig. So that scares me a little bit.
But I'm not an Overwatch League pro, and as we all know, I'm like sub bronze. So
it's not true. They're gonna sign you for the Junkrat any day now.
Yeah. Maybe I'll be the Vancouver Titans content creator. Yeah. People will be like, Light Force, what?
Just keep sending the pizzas our way.
Yeah, that's true. But here we are at the end of another phenomenal episode. One in which we got to talk about upsets. We got to eat pizza. We got to have some fun. It's pretty cool.
I've never been so full after a podcast.
You know the post-production is going to be a killer as I'm trying to take out like all the mouth noises, the food noises.
I think what you should do is the opposite. Is you should just enunciate the chewing, like,
Lower
and then
power volumes and
and then like kind of stretch it out, and then we can have it on its own, and we can have it on a repeat on SoundCloud. Throw some ads in there, do some ASMR.
Yeah, maybe that's So we'll be RS. What's it? It would be RSPASMR.
ASMR. Pizza ASMR, yeah, maybe.
Oh gosh, you can tell it's been a long week and another week to come up. But yes, as I alluded to already, we will have a guest joining us for the next episode. So if you tune in the live stream, as sort of normal, you won't be able to hear it, but you'll want to listen to the next episode. For those listening to the podcast, you'll be able to obviously hear the Nerf This Cast team joining us, and we're going to talk a little about the Paris Eternal Vancouver Titans set up in a week from now's match, which will be a Friday noon Pacific start time. Good for the Paris Eternal, not so good for the Vancouver Titans. The what was I going to say?
The pizza is starting to kick in.
You know, it happens, right? Food coma. I mean,
yeah.
Well, it's the food, and like I think what people don't realize is when we record here, like first of all, we are in our homes, isn't like some sort of studio. But the other thing we try not to do is keep our windows shut because, well, you know, the infamous lore of the podcast means like we had so many sirens in like the first 20 episodes when Omni lived downtown. But also like we have no fans on. Like Omni has his like kind of like his roof fan,
yeah,
so he's probably better than us.
I don't. I'm here like,
and we're just sitting here in buckets of sweat eating pizza. Can't tell what's greasier, us or the pizza.
oh gosh, that's true. The summer is tough. I mean, I know a lot of people love the weather, but in this hot box that I'm in right now, let me tell you, I lose a few pounds each time we record an episode. But for those of you who do tune in each and every week on the live stream, twitch.tv/ReadySetPwn, thank you. As always, feel free to drop your Twitch Prime subs, gift subs. Apparently, if you gift subs right now, there's Pride Thing emotes. You can drop bits. And I'm not like we're not like one of those huge streamers that say, the minimum bit donation is 500. Nah, man. If you got pennies, drop those pennies. We'll take them. But other ways that you can support the podcast are by leaving us a review at podchaser.com/ReadySetPwn or a review wherever you happen to be able to listen to our podcast from. You can also support us on Patreon, which is patreon.com/ReadySetPwn, and we have a variety of different tiers that allow you to chip in and help us continue making things as they are. I talked about at the top of the episode. I'll remind you again, our podcast audience survey is still open. It'll be open for the remainder of this week. And to take part in that survey, just go to bit.ly, so bit.ly/catchphrase survey. And if you're like, oh my goodness, I'll forget that because I may be in the car or somewhere else, the tweet that I have pinned at ReadySetPwn, that has the link there, so you'll find it. But any final words of wisdom, gentlemen, that you want to share before we call this an episode?
Actually planned to have that little spiel about the pineapple on the pizza, but since I've already used that one up, I'll use another Office classic. You only live once? False. You live every day. You only die once.
That's deep.
I'm in food coma, dude.
Yeah, I'm getting into it too. I ate before the podcast. I tried to like before, and man, now it's tough.
Oh man,
Sam, anything?
If you ever want to nerf Sparkle, just give him 2 pizzas.
Maybe the Titans and Pizza Hut need to coordinate for that next match against the Eternal.
Through them with his blade.
Yeah. As for me, thanks again for those tuning in. Thanks for you who listen to us each and every week. Thanks for taking part in our community and Discord. Discord.io/ReadySetPwn. Thanks for being you, and ultimately, thanks for helping us become the podcast that we are. We are in a world of evolution. Things are going to become more and more exciting. And again, one final thought: if you have a belief of a second team that we should add to the payload. Tell us what it is. Twitter, Facebook, Discord, Instagram. Shoot us an email, feedback@readysetpwn.com, or better yet, send us a text message. 604-409-3324. That's 604-409-3324. Whatever your carrier fees might be, could apply. But on behalf of Sam at Another Sound Chant, Omni at OmniStrife, myself, Chris at Lightforce, going to sign this episode with those magical 2 words, Hatchrays!